Hello again from the Business Travel Show here in London. This event is a global travel event. I'm really pleased to be joined this afternoon by Katie Virtue from FESTIVE ROAD. Hi Katie.
Hi John.
And what I wanted to do is ask Katie, first and foremost, obviously you've been to a lot of international travel events. How does the Business Travel Show in London differ from those that you've been to, and particularly in the US, and what have you noticed over the last couple of days?
Yeah, so there's definitely a lot of energy at the event right now. In terms of the number of people that are here, in terms of the conversations we're having, you can tell that people are definitely dealing with a lot in their programs and having to make decisions, and travel's coming back, and what does that mean for experience or for budgets increasing, and so there is just, I think, a lot of discussion about how do we handle this. I'm hearing a lot in education sessions.
Yep.
About all different topics, and it just shows how the role of the travel manager has absolutely expanded of things they're having to consider and deal with.
Interesting. And just give us a little bit of background about your wonderful stand here.
Yes.
About, obviously, one of the topics that people may be talking about is sustainability.
Yeah.
Can you just give us a little bit of an overview on the sort of sustainability element of this stand?
Yeah. So obviously we like to always do things a little different and be creative and unique, and we thought, why not have a cardboard stand that is sustainable, that can be reused again at future events, and has something a little different to bring.
Will you be bringing this one to GBTA?
We probably won't bring it across the pond, but I think we'll definitely reuse it again here in Europe.
Right, okay. And while I've got you, obviously in the UK here, our members globally are always interested in the US.
Yeah.
What's happening over there from a travel perspective? So give us a little bit of an overview, very brief overview on the travel landscape at the moment from the corporate travel management side.
Yep. That little thing called NDC is occupying a lot of time and conversations, all spurred by certainly a certain airline that made some advancements, and I think there's now a wide spectrum. Some people who saw this coming and maybe were ready in terms of knowing the conversations that they wanted to have with their suppliers and how to handle it. Some people who are, exploring different options, talking to their TMC, their OBT, trying to understand, what's coming in the roadmap, what can you help with right now to solve some of these issues. And then there's others that are just kind of waiting and seeing, and what are the other carriers going to do, and how are others going to handle this? How are some of the providers going to find an immediate solution? So certainly NDC distribution, and that's not going to go away for a while now. I think, the traveler experience is something that is continuing to be top of mind because of a lot of travel returning, especially domestically, and now this summer we've seen internationally from the US. And so it's, and with disruptions happening a lot with air travel, it's how do we provide that better experience to travelers, and now kind of even from a broader standpoint in terms of not just duty of care, but their well-being and the tools and solutions we provide to them, and how are they going to simply be serviced. So that's certainly another aspect. And then the U.S., there's definitely the topic of sustainability. There's just a wide spectrum of some who have some very specific goals as a corporation that they need to hit and are now coming down to the travel department, versus others who are just still at the beginning phase and trying to understand what it would mean for their program. And I'd say all of it's wrapped around the fact that prices are increasing. And cost is increasing, and people are in that boat of, well, our travel's picking up, the cost is increasing, we're being told to try to find some solutions to that, and so they're trying to
let me add to that.
Yeah.
It doesn't appear to be a barrier. People are traveling.
Yeah, it doesn't. I mean, you might have the odd organization who's saying, well, we need to really tighten it in, but that's more commonly it's only going to keep increasing. How do we manage that better? Yeah.
So I guess it's important, obviously, for US travel management companies, obviously, to and try and adapt, but also take advantage of new revenue streams, microservices, if that's the sort of the sustainability piece, or ancillaries that you book in. So you'll be aware, obviously, because you've been involved, obviously, with Advantage and Hickory in the planning of our ITMC Independent Travel Management Company conference later on in the year, immediately after GBTA. Based on what you said about the US market, what can anyone learn, and what will they learn by coming through and attending ITMC?
So we're going to open with Johnny Torsen. He's from Spot Nano, but the biggest thing he's going to talk about is Traveltopia, which isn't necessarily new for him to talk about, but he has now a new version of it, which is I think something exciting to kind of hear from him in terms of what's the landscape going to look like now that all of these things are happening. And then we're going to hit on 3 areas that relate to all of what I've talked about. So the cost element, and not only how does a TMC help manage that, but what are then their revenue streams. The customer aspect and what's changed about the customer that might be changing their expectations of what they need from a TMC. And then certainly that care perspective and what is the role of the TMC when it comes to sustainability and risk, and there's these other partners that are involved, and how to solve for that. And I think then the layer under all that is the technology components, and is it your own internal technology, or are there other solutions out there that help enable all of these things that a customer might want. So we're going to cover those aspects. We're going to do some workshops and make it very engaging. And I think uniquely, not only is it focused on the independent TMC, but we're going to cover corporate travel, we're going to talk about meetings, and we're going to talk about leisure as well. And
I guess the other thing as well, just to point out that it's not just a US audience, it's global. So we've got people coming from around all over the world, which is really good. So that's great. And I guess the other thing is as well that we'll naturally give a little bit of an update post GBTA, because there's always some interesting anecdotal stuff that comes out of that.
Yeah, I think that'll be fun. Susan Lichtenstein and I are going to kick that off for the day, and I think pose it in terms of we've just come out of the the annual convention. Here are all the hot topics, but what does this specific audience, being the independent travel management company, think about that? And let's hear about that.
Great. Okay. Well, thank you very much. Lovely to see you here in London.
You too.
Next time we meet, I will be in Dallas, no doubt.
Yes, it will.
Okay. Safe journey back to the States. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.